The West Coast swing continues as the Simracer Coin NASA RallyCross Challenge arrives at the Phoenix International Raceway in Avondale, Arizona. We have seen 6 consecutive weeks of the Apex Racing Team 1-2 or pretty close to a podium sweep throughout this season, and we're going to be wondering if Sindre Silva can make it a 7th win in a row for the British esport team. As hello everyone, it's Josh Mertz alongside me, Philip Kraus, and maybe Dylan Body. We haven't figured that one out yet. Victor Vallee in the production truck, bringing you live lights to flag coverage in the Automotive Sports Network. Also, conveniently, brought to you by Simracer Coin, the cryptocurrency designed by Simracers for Simracers. And yes, I'm going to keep mentioning that until they give me an actual script. Simracercoin.org for all of that information. Coming into round number 7. Our points look like this. I don't think we have a graphic, but we'll look at it anyways. Sindre Silva, 19 points ahead of his teammate Jake Robertson. Conveniently for him, Robertson has a 15-point penalty already applied due to the incidents that he has had throughout this season. Magnus Okenhaug, 30 points behind his fellow Norwegian. Matt Hartley, defending champion. In his words, terrible defense for his championship, but surprisingly, he's sitting 4th in the championship with 69 points, and his teammate Commentators with 44. Ray Kingsbury with a 15-point penalty sees himself in 6th. Jacob Harberts, who has had a previous commitment for the last couple weeks, we haven't seen him since Atlanta. He's with 38. John Dipple's been on a part-time basis in 8th in points. Matt Kingsbury in 9th in points with a 5-point penalty. And what's funny is Alexi Heikkinen has raced twice, and he has the same exact amount of points as Matt Kingsbury. As we're running through qualifying here, I want to take a look at our practice results. Alexi Heikkinen 0.2 of a second up on Sindre Silva. So Silva boxed in by the Black Horse Sim Racing cars. We remember they had a 3-4 finish to the Apex Racing 1-2. And the final races on the calendar. As next week we will go to Newton, Iowa at the Iowa Speedway. Very fun track, potentially under the lights. We will see once we get there. Then it's back to Daytona International Speedway. We are going to run on the short layout, a little bit different, obviously, than the long layout. And then the big debut of the Crandon International Raceway. It's going to be our final race of the championship, and it's going to be another endurance round. No joker, all dirt. And I don't know who I have listening to me at the moment, but I do want to say that's going to be a crazy race. I took one of the cars out on that track, ran 2 laps, was very slow, and didn't really do much. As we finish up qualifying so far, it is actually 3 cars within literally 0.02 of a second. Alexi Heikkinen and Sindre Silva, okay, 1 and 3. But Savian Ragster in 2nd, 3/1000ths off of pole position. The number 91 certainly has tried so hard to make it into a final this season, and he is getting very close. While I have a couple moments, Constructors Championship, 229 for Apex Racing over LRL with 155, 74 points there. That championship is, much as I hate to say it, kind of over. Manufacturers Championship, 138 for Volkswagen, 103 for Subaru. And like I said, Drivers Championship, huge gap from Silva to Robertson, but Robertson I don't believe is racing tonight, as hopefully Mr. Philip Kraus is here. We'll bring him in along with Victor Vallee.
All right, well, I don't know if Phil is here, but I'll go ahead and jump right on in. I do want to mention, it's not just the top 3 that are really close. The top, let's see right now, top 7 drivers are within 0.4 of a second right now. Just 0.4 separating the top, I believe, 7 drivers right now, from Heikkinen all the way down to Matt Kingsbury, only 0.4 of a second, and then just another 10th or 2 added on to that to get to Ray Kingsbury.
As we have newcomer Jason Hoke in car number 16, Cohen Attard, Rosales, Seymour, Wetz, Brokaw, Micas Feldman, a newcomer Lucas Stinziano in car number 6, the return of 2-time NASA RallyCross champion Cody Erdman, and the return of Subaru MRT back to the fold. The number 52 not having the greatest of days. He will line up currently, I want to say, last in our order. Throughout this event, you will see a couple of drivers in the heat races later on. We have Jake Robertson, obviously not entered in this race. And then I want to say a technical issue for Dylan Body trying to join the session. No fault of his own, so it will list him as a driver in the session. As we get ready for heat number 1 here in Phoenix, in Avondale, Alexei Heikkinen on pole position along with Matt Hartley, defending champion of the Simracer Coin NASA RallyCross Challenge. Jason Hoek in car number 16. Chris Wetz, one of the all-time winners of this series and many times a championship runner-up. And then our other newcomer, Lucas and Stinziano. I apologize there. As we get ready for 6 laps, format really quickly, and I know we don't have much time, but 6-lap heat races. You have to take the Joker lap once. Top 2 immediately transfer. Rest of the cars the LCQ. That's a 5-lap race. As we go green for heat 1 here in Phoenix. Off the line, Hoek to the inside. In the middle is Heikkinen. Heikkinen gets into Hartley in car number 1, and the defending champion slides through turn 1, slides through turn 2, and Jason Hoek will lead us ahead of Matt Hartley. Side by side, Wetz hits the curb. Let's see who jokers on the first lap opportunity. It is Hoek, Hartley, Heikkinen. Wetz does not, and Stinziano does. So the only car, and historically, Chris Wetz does not joker, as we take a look at Matt Hartley trying hard to take the lead. But Jason Hoek, our newcomer in car number 16, leads at the end of the first lap.
Yeah, really chaotic first corner there. It's really nice to see a newcomer leading in their first race in the NASA RallyCross Challenge. Really impressive from him. He showed pretty decent pace in practice, but I don't think any of us would have said he'd be leading in Heat 1 here at Phoenix.
As we still take a look at Matt Hartley as Hoek, I believe he might have jokered. He did, so he's going to get disqualified in the 16. And that's a newcomer error. And if you don't give
someone with the commentator's curse again, right when I say they're doing good,
they'll have to let him know, of course, that he is unable to finish this heat race as the 16 out of this race. So Matt Hartley effectively in the race lead in car number 1 ahead of Alexei Heikkinen.
yeah, this is a really important round for Hartley, especially since Magnus and Jake Robertson aren't here today. He really needs to capitalize and get a good result. I know last week it looked like he was on for a good result, dominated Heat 4, but got in a few incidents in the final, just didn't have a good race, and they're looking to rebound today.
As we do see, at least I took a look on my monitor, Hoek will pull off the road and out of heat number 1. Great start for car number 16, but we saw this happen with Robertson in that first race last season. It's a NASA RallyCross tradition to have 2 jokers in the final, but because of the iRacing limitations, it technically tells you to take 2 jokers every race, but race control takes care of that, and we are going to have a battle here. As Hartley hooks the curb in car number 1, around he goes, and Heikkinen back to the lead. Chris Wetz is in third all by himself. I don't think he's jokered yet. Of course, historically, he doesn't until late in the race. And Heikkinen, the World Championship driver, out front.
Yeah, obviously Hartley wouldn't have wanted to spin on that curve, but he's got to take the positive from this. He's still in a transfer spot. He's still going to get 2 bonus points. He's got a pretty solid gap to Wetz behind. I think it's about 3, 4, 5 seconds, and Joker Delta won't cover that, so just bang out these last 2 laps and get your spot in the final.
As, like we mentioned earlier on in the show, as I attempted to, format for today's race, we are in one of the 6-lap heats, Joker lap once. Top 2 will transfer. Then we have the LCQs, which given this big field, we are going to have, I believe, 2 of them. The winner will transfer, but that's a 5-lap race, Joker lap once. And then the final, 10 cars, 10 laps, 2 jokers, and we'll have to see if Apex can make it 7 race wins in a row. They're quickly getting onto our record for MRT of 9 race wins.
Yeah, it's getting kind of scary, and especially this whole season they've looked unstoppable outside of maybe 1-2 rounds. And the one I'm thinking of is Lucas Oil, obviously. Magnus was leading that race for the majority of it as Heikkinen comes across the line in a few seconds here to win Heat 1 at Phoenix, followed by Matt Hartley. Chris Wetz is a bit further behind in 3rd, Stinziano in 4th, and Hoek obviously had to pull off the track because he took 2 jokers in 5th.
What surprised me, even with his erroneous joker, Hoek had pace. Granted, it's only one lap in, but you would expect, for example, I'm going to use me as an example. I get swallowed up last season by the pro drivers, and Hoek was holding his own. Heikkinen, one of the fastest guys here, just hasn't really caught a break in car number 8, so we will see if that will help him as pole position for the Finnish driver in car number 8. And like Phil said, Hartley, Wetz, Stinciano, and Hoek for heat number 1. Getting ready for Heat 2 here in Phoenix. We will have Sabian Ragster. Remember, that ridiculous lap time from the 91 puts him on pole position ahead of Marwan Moftah, Koen Attard, Tim Brokaw, and returning 2-time Simracer coin NASA RallyCross champion Cody Erdman in car number 52. Green flag for Heat 2 here in Phoenix. Ragster's going to block Attard going down to the start. Contact between them. It turns Ragster. Can he save it? Yes, he does, but he's going to lose the race lead. Moftah will lead us into turn 2, ahead of Attard. Ragster battling with Brokaw and Erdman in the back of the field. Let's see who jokers in the first opportunity. Top 2 do not. Nobody does. Interesting strategy as Ragster over the jump into Moftah, into Attard, and over goes the Egyptian. Around is Ragster as well, and the only car that survives this, gentlemen, is Tim Brokaw on the 903.
Just to correct you real quick, Cody Erdman also survived. He's sitting in a comfortable second right now, and the Motorz cars, they haven't really had the cleanest of seasons. Daniel Aish was hit with a 50-point penalty earlier this season for multiple incidents at Wild West, I want to say, and you know, it's just a shame. This is definitely a really messy heat. There's going to be some review going on after the race, and we'll have to see whose result stands and who gets a penalty from this.
As Brokaw jokers, Erdman does not in the 52. We know that the German has been struggling on these regulations, even the last couple of seasons, because I believe we're taking a look here. So at least we're trying to take a look at what happened. It looks like Attard just drove underneath Moftah in the 191, and the Egyptian rolls it in that Subaru. We're back to live pictures now. And Erdman, I believe, has not jokered. Attard has. And Brokaw spins from the race lead in the 903. And he gets passed by Attard and by Erdman. And Erdman's going to joker in the 52. So unbelievably, this is a saying that I have not said in several years, but Cody Erdman leads the heat race here in NASA Rallycross.
And I don't think you could have expected that after his qualifying laps. Definitely, he wasn't really anywhere on the pace. Over about 2 seconds off the pace, but here he is leading the heat. Obviously, it's due to attrition, but it's a lead nonetheless, and if he keeps going like this, he's going to be in a final, and we haven't said that for a while either.
As Erdman, as of the last lap, has, let me take a look, 4.2 seconds over Koen Attard. Ragster is a further 7 seconds behind, and Brokaw, I don't know if Brokaw has jokered. I'll try and take a look. He's off the track in the 903. So the man who made the final last week does not make the final this week. You might have seen on the camera there that Moftah ahead on track, but remember, he is off the pace. So the battle is really Erdman with Attard and Ragster in third. And what a crazy start here in Phoenix. 2 to go for Erdman.
Speaking of Erdman's slow quality pace, it looks like he's picked it up for the heat here. He only got caught by half a second by Koen on that lap, and if he can just keep that pace consistent, he's got this heat win locked up, I'm pretty sure. It's a real... Oh, right as I say that, he goes off the jump and makes a mistake. I am really good with these commentator curses. I'm sorry, Cody, I love you. But he's going to maintain the lead here at least. Probably lost about a second there, but I think he'll still be on for this heat win.
Attard runs it deep there in car number 3 as Erdman takes the white flag in car number 52, and the German, the driver from Wisconsin, representing the nation of Germany, ahead of the true blood Australian Koen Attard, ahead of the American Sabian Ragster. So remember, in the early days, the Simracer Coin NASA Rallycross Challenge, numerous American drivers, our commentators included, of course, American representing their countries of origin. So Erdman through the final corner. I do not have time to look through this entire stat book to my left, but I know it has been a long time, not biased, but MRT and Cody Erdman win a heat race in Phoenix ahead of Koen Attard.
Yeah, obviously, big congratulations to Cody, but I can't help feeling bad for Ragster there. He had his joker still, and after that big crash over the jump, he just couldn't make up the time. But on those laps prior, I know he was out of the conversation. He was like 12, 13 seconds behind, but he was clawing back on the leaders about 2 seconds a lap, 1 second a lap. It's absolutely crazy to see, and it's definitely one to look out for this week after not having the greatest of seasons.
As the last heat race win for Cody Erdman, I think it was semi-final A, 2019 B, Canadian Grand Prix. That's when we have the quarterfinals and the semifinals. If you don't count those, he won Daytona in 2019 B when he won his last race. I think that was in the Citroen program. As we get ready for heat number 3 here in Phoenix, points leader Sindre Silva, Matt Kingsbury, Adam Rosales, and Chad Mikas. It's really, Phil, going to be down to who can beat Silva off the line.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you don't beat Silva off the line, you're not winning this race.
As we get ready for heat 3, green flag, Silva, great run off the line. Mikas beats his teammate into turn number 1. Kingsbury third, fourth is Rosales into turn number 2. Very slow, very cautious. Kingsbury to the inside of his teammate, contact between them. Connection issues with Sindre there. I don't know if the 63 is going to come back. This will be huge if he does not. Mikas leads ahead of Kingsbury. Silva's not back yet. Kingsbury to the lead.
That's a really daring move with the jump. We've seen it in a lot of races here. I know we've only done about 3 or 4 on the iRacing platform, but every race you see at least 3 people go off over the jump at this track. To try to pass someone over the jump, that's pretty crazy.
Sindre Silva did joker as he reconnects to the server here, so our excitement to see maybe Chad Mikas in the final has kind of dwindled there. Kingsbury runs it wide in turn number 2, opens the door up for the American from Chicago, but he cannot take the fight. Sindre over the jump there. I know we're not focused on that, but he landed very smooth, and there goes Kingsbury in the 21. Lands it very smooth. Mikas through the joker in car number 9. Does he come out near Sindre? He does not, as Sindre holds the lead at the end of lap 2. Mikas, however, ahead of his teammate Kingsbury in the 21.
Yeah, this is a really good run for Mikas. We haven't really seen that much pace from this season. I'm not sure if it was last season or this season, but I know he didn't pre-qualify for a race, and obviously that stings, because I know he puts in a lot of practice. I've been his teammate, and he puts in a ton of practice every week, and obviously that was a real kick in the gut for him, but it's really nice to see him in a transfer spot right here.
The race he did not pre-qualify for this season, round 2 at Daytona. That's when we had 28 entries in the Simracer Coin NASA RallyCross Challenge. Sindre Silva is going to take crossed flags, and the battle is going to be between Kingsbury and Mikas. If I look at timing, Kingsbury has not jokered. Mikas has. He is losing time to his teammate. It's unsure if Kingsbury will be able to take the fight to him.
I'm going to have to say that Kingsbury is going to be able to take the fight to him. Last lap, Kingsbury was 1.7 seconds quicker than Mikas. And he's right on his tail right here as he's going to be taking the joker this lap, and he's going to be getting that second position back from Mikas.
Through the joker goes car number 21, the man from Connecticut. Exits the left-hander through the long right-hander. Remember, they increased this wall on the service. You push it way out to the left to cut down to the right, and no contest for the transfer spot here in Phoenix. As Silva, I think, did he get a slowdown?
He did get a slowdown.
As we take a look, Sindre Silva has a slowdown on the 63. He's going to open the door up for Kingsbury, and wow, this race has opened wide open in the 63 versus the 21. Through the infield into the dirt. Over the jump goes Silva ahead of Kingsbury, and Sindre's getting sloppy here.
Yeah, I think he's feeling the pressure after getting that slowdown. He's not sure how much Matt's going to send it behind him. Obviously, I don't think Matt's won a heat this season, so it'd be really nice to win a heat, take some points away from Sindre, even though it won't matter for him in the grand scheme of things, but a heat win's always nice.
And we noticed the onboard camera there with Sindre Silva, and it's a line that you and I took last season. You put the right side tires onto the asphalt, and believe it or not, you gain a bunch of time. Sindre was able to open that gap up.
Yeah, that's something you usually see the pro guys doing here a bit more than we are today, but obviously the NASA stewards...
off the road! Sorry to interrupt, he's okay. Because I thought he was going to throw it away.
Oh, yeah, I did too. I've seen that flash through my head so many times. I've done it a few times here, and it's really painful, especially when you're running in a good position, as Sindre Silva coming down the main straight to win heat number 3.
As Matt Kingsbury comes home in second, transferring ahead of Rosales and Mikas in car number 9. I think Mikas didn't have some good luck.
Yeah, that's just kind of the story of Micah's season. He's shown promise, but it just kind of unravels for him.
As Johannes Vannen, Ray Kingsbury, Travis Seymour, Diane Feldman. Remember, we had that issue with Dylan Body. So he is technically listed as the 5th entry, but we only have 4 in this heat race. Now, we've seen a bunch of stuff happen through the first couple of heat races. We're getting close to the LCQs. And during warm-up, I think when I step away, we'll have a talk with our heat race winner, Cody Erdman, just to see how he's thinking with making it through that race.
Can only imagine he's going to be really pumped as I think we're waiting for Travis Seymour to grid up to get this heat underway.
As we're waiting on the 144 of Travis Seymour. As I do apologize if you hear a collar in the background, my pupper has entered the commentary box. Hopefully we don't hear that. But we do love animals here at the Automotive Sports Network as we get ready for Heat 4. No Seymour. Green flag for Vannen ahead of Kingsbury into turn 1. Diane Feldman in the 84 behind them into turn 2. Kingsbury will lead us. Yes, he clears Vannen, car number 7, and Feldman in the 84. So no Seymour. This is only a 3-car race.
It's a really impressive move by Kingsbury on the outside of turn 1. It's a really tight corner, which
As Vannen in the rubber, sorry to cut you off. Vannen is flipped it in the 7. He jumped it. I know we're not focused on that, but he jumped and crashed in the 7, and this race is done and dusted.
Yeah, he's stuck turtle. That's his race over. He's gonna try to spin it around and get it back on his wheels, but it ain't happening for Johannes. You might as well just pull off the track while you can.
Savian did the same thing in Sonoma. I have to correct myself. Travis Seymour was having connections issues in the 144. That's why he is not here. We take a look on our screens on the Automotive Sports Network. We'll take a look at Johannes Vannen ahead of Diane Feldman here. This was battling for second, and one of the pro drivers over jumps. Very easy to do here in Phoenix, and clouts the tire barrier and does some vehicular gymnastics in that Black Horse Volkswagen. Tough break for the Finnish driver. We know he has the pace, but let's talk about Diane Feldman. She will be, of course, we don't want to jinx it, the first female to make it in a final in NASA RallyCross.
I think it'd be pretty hard to jinx this considering Vannen's out of the race right now, but obviously anything's possible with us. It seems like whenever we open our mouths, whoever we're talking about ends up going off the track, but Feldman's only scored 3 points this season. This is going to be a huge boost to her points if she makes this final.
As certainly good to see, of course, nationality diversity, and in sim racing, and of course in racing in general, you don't typically see females appear, and it's great to see the Australian in a transfer spot. And this is going to be a very odd race, and you know, I think of Phoenix as an odd race in general, because last season, granted I crashed, let's not talk about that, but if you talk between you and me and maybe Robertson, we were stupid fast. I don't make the final, and we have a bunch of really cars that I hate to say it, but in this instance, like Erdman or Feldman, last season we had cars of those pace make the final, and Phoenix, I guess long story short, delivers some odd results.
Yeah, I'd say you have to attribute that to the jump here. It's one of the hardest jumps that you're going to see on the calendar this whole season. The way you have to slide it through that left kink, which is, it's really difficult to get the car set up for the jump properly, because half the time when you do that, you fly over the jump, you land weirdly, and it just rockets you into the tire barriers, and there's nothing you can do about it. You know what's happening when you're in the air, but you're just a passenger.
As Ray Kingsbury ahead of Feldman in the 84. Seymour is on track in the 144, had connection issues there, and Vannen had that accident on the first lap of the race. If you're just joining us here on the Automotive Sports Network, it's Josh Mertz, Philip Kraus in the commentary box, Victor Vallee in the production truck for round number 7 of the Simracer Coin NASA RallyCross Challenge. What a crazy race that we've had so far. Ray Kingsbury takes the white flag of the heat race. We had a crash on the first lap of this race, crash on the first lap of Heat 2. Cody Erdman somehow make it into the final. We'll have an interview, of course, later on, but we get closer to the LCQs, and I couldn't tell you who is going to win this race, because if everyone crashes in turn 1, who knows? As Ray Kingsbury, the Connecticut native, not to interrupt you, I'll have you finish your point in a second. Kingsbury wins Heat 4, and Diane Feldman from Australia becomes the first female in Simracer Coin NASA RallyCross history, transferring through to the final.
Yeah, going back to earlier, how you said you don't know who's going to win this race. I feel like that's the trademark of this track. You never really know who's going to win because it's always such a hectic race. Every race we've been here, the racing's been insane, but there's also been a lot of incidents. It's just the nature of the track.
As Vahanen and Seymour will transfer, it looks like, unless there was an issue here, we might have, let me look, unless our timing is not correct. Okay, so Feldman did transfer. It said on the timing graphic that Vahanen was ahead of Feldman, so I had a little bit of a heart and mouth moment there. We get ready for the first LCQ, C-Main, LCQ, Consolation. Like I've said, you don't know what term to use. Chris Wetz, Adam Rosales, Lucas Stinziano, I apologize there, new driver in the series, Chad Mikas, and Jason Hoek. 5 laps. Winner instead of top 1. Transfers, green flag. Hoek jumps the start. I don't know how that's going to be done by the officials. He had a huge margin, unless that was a legal start. We'll see through the first couple of turns here. Wetz in the 71, Mikas in the 9. These two came together in Solstice Racing competition. Mikas has had nothing but bad luck here, and Hoek jokers on the first lap. I think he might have a slowdown here. We'll see if he's going to give up some time. But Chris Wetz in second here.
I can confirm Hoek definitely jumped that start. He's going to have to give him some time. He pulls over to the left side, and that's a big blow because this is an interesting LCQ. We're going to see a new driver in the final this week. There's no way around it. All of these guys, I don't think we've seen any of them in a final this season, and honestly, it's just a really interesting prospect to see one of them make the final.
As Rosales, I have to correct you, made it in Wild West a couple weeks ago. Wetz, I don't believe, has made a final this season. Of course, the Texan, numerous wins. Mikas pulls off in car number 9. Not sure what's going on with the American's car. He has pulled off the road, and he's out of the race. And another blow of bad luck. This is going to put, I want to say, Rosales on the road, who is in the lead ahead of Wetz and Stinziano.
Yep.
As Hoek in the 4th spot had that lightning start, whether it was too lightning or not. Think of Pastor Maldonado, I want to say. 2012 Belgium, he had that huge start. It was deemed potentially illegal. But Hoek in 4th, trying to get past Stinziano. As over the jump there, I know we're not looking at that, but Stinziano ran it wide. We take a look here at Hoek in the 16. He's trying to chase down Wetz in the 71. I don't believe Wetz has jokered. Rosales has. Hoek has. Stinziano. So Wetz, we know his strategy, Phil. We know how he drives. As he goes through the corner there, will he be able to take the fight?
It's going to be all about the Joker Delta. It's about 3 seconds here, and he's 3.1 seconds behind Rosales. If he can just keep that gap as it is, as Rosales runs wide through the right-hand sweeper, this is going to give Chris Wetz a chance. I know he's not Joker in this lap, but next lap he's going to Joker, and it's going to be really close in the exit, and we might see a crash, to be honest. I wouldn't put it past this race of Phoenix.
That's white flag for Rosales in the C-Main and the LCQ ahead of Chris Wetz. Last lap Delta when it updates. It was, let's take a look, 3.05 seconds. There is no gap between these two. Wetz jokers in the 71. Will he come out ahead of Rosales? He looks like he has it for the moment, but Rosales has a shorter corner. Wetz is going to have a better line out of the corner. And Wetz is going to hold it, I think. And Chris Wetz sneaks the final appearance away. And the Texan makes it for the first time this season ahead of Rosales, who finishes in 11th place. Jason Hoek, in his first start, finishes in the 13th place. 15th for Lucas Stinziano in his first start in the Simracer Coin NASA RallyCross Challenge. And then Chad Mikas comes home in 5th in the LCQ. And I believe it's 17th overall.
That's a really big feel-good story for Chris Wetz. Obviously, on these Gen 4 regulations, he hasn't really had anything go his way. He hasn't had the pace he had on the Gen 3 regulations, but it's really nice to see him make a final here today.
We get ready for our second LCQ. Sabian Ragster, Johannes Vanen, Marwan Moftah, Travis Seymour, Tim Brokaw. Green flag, 5 laps. Ragster gets a terrible start. It's almost a repeat of last race. Seymour gets turned by Ragster off the line. I'm not sure if that's going to have to be reviewed, but now we're going to look at Vahanen ahead of Ragster, ahead of Moftah, Brokaw, and knowing Travis Seymour, that's not going to be a fun radio exchange. Vahanen jokers in car number 7. Nobody else does on the first lap.
And Vahanen's just looking to build a gap here. Obviously, Ragster had that amazing quali lap, but I think Vahanen's banking on the fact that Ragster hasn't really been consistent this season as he runs wide through the sweeper and allows Marwan Moftah to look up his inside, but Ragster is able to hold on to that position, but that's going to cost him time and it's going to give Vahanen a chance to build out a bigger gap than he already has.
But on the other side of the coin about consistency, Phil, we've seen Vahanen crash hard into the tire barrier. You could basically have both sides of that equation as Ragster still holds the second spot, but this is not a heat race. Only the winner transfers.
Yeah, and because the winner only transfers, I can only imagine these guys 2nd through 6th, they're going to be pushing that little bit harder than they would in the heat race, which obviously we saw a lot of mistakes in the heat race. You're going to see even more in this LCQ, I imagine, because people are just going to be pushing that a little bit harder.
We take cross flags in the second LCQ here in Phoenix. Ragster on pace nearly with Vahanen. I don't think that he has jokered. If I take a look at lap times, Vahanen has, Ragster has not, but the gap is 4.4 seconds between the Volkswagens. And I don't think that he's going to have the pace. Moftah jokers in the 191, nearly hits the wall in that Subaru. Rounding the corner. As one driver that we have not seen today is Magnus Okenhaug. So if your name is Sindre Silva, you are loving this. No, you're not going to officially seal the championship up, but with a huge points lead, unless he does not appear, it looks pretty much a formality, but I hate mentioning it, so let's act like I didn't say that. As Hartley, 1st and 4th are the ones in the championship that are here. So 54 points as coming into this round. Huge points lead. Vahanen still leads ahead of Moftah now. They both have jokered in the 191 and in the 7. We'll have to see if Ragster can close this gap. It was 4.1 seconds that last time around. As it looks like he ran it a little bit wide. I don't know if he's going to get a slowdown from that. 3.6 seconds as of the last timing loop. Let's see if the Finnish driver can hold off the Egyptian and the American. And Tim Brokaw, what could have been for the 903, had that spin in turn number 2. Through the joker goes Ragster in the 91. Is he going to come out ahead of Vahanen? Through the joker, exiting the joker. We've talked about it all season long. Can Sabian Ragster do it? Off of the final corner, he's going to get it done. Ragster transfers in Phoenix ahead of Vahanen. As Moftah, Brokaw, and Seymour rounds out our order, Ragster does it.
I'm at a loss for words, Josh. I wasn't expecting that. I thought Vahanen was going to just walk away with it, but Ragster, he just proved me wrong. He came back and he won that.
As I'm going to go catch my breath for a couple of minutes. I'll pass it off to Victor Vallee. Please have an interview with our LCQ, our B-main winner, and maybe Cody Erdman as well. I will see you guys in a couple of moments.
Absolutely. What a race right there. What an amazing 2 LCQs for that matter. 2 last lap passes. Phil, obviously, you said you didn't expect it at all, one bit, and I didn't expect it either. I was watching timing and scoring. I thought it was just going to be just slightly close, but here we are talking about Sindre Silva having to take on guys like Savion Ragster and Cody Erdman and Chris Wetz. This actually sounds like an NR 2003 final, if I'm going to be honest with you here.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the most jumbled up finals we've seen on iRacing. Outside of like Wild West, Wild Horse, this is probably one of the most jumbled up finals we've ever seen. Because a lot of guys in this final, at least half the grid, you usually wouldn't expect them to make a final. So, it's big for these guys.
Absolutely, and we're going to see if we can go ahead and get Cody Erdman up here into the booth for just one moment. Go ahead and see if we can get a contact with Cody Erdman. Cody Erdman, this is Victor Vallee up here in the ASM booth. You got a copy?
On that one.
Cody, how did you make it through in that heat?
closed my eyes and prayed. Good question. I don't know. I just went over the jump and kind of seas parted, and I made a mistake. I wasn't really squared up to the jump, and it sent me to the right, and actually that was a good thing. Went around the tires on the end of the jump, and I was hoping for a top 2 at least, and then the leader made a mistake, and then I just started putting laps together. I did make another mistake over the jump. Same thing I did that got me through the wreck, so. But other than that, just we'll try to put better laps together in this one, stay out of the mess, and see what we can do.
Awesome.
So what I'm hearing here is NASA RallyCross has its own Moses now, split the seas, and came through with a heat win.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. Just closed the eyes, prayed, and all of a sudden the seas parted.
Yeah, and so obviously, you know, getting into the final like that, I think your expectations, I mean, obviously you had a slow qualifying result there in seeding, but then you were able to make it through to the final. What are your expectations for the final? Is it just to survive and make it to the end, or is it maybe just to go out there and cause a little bit more chaos than what we've seen in the past and try to win the thing?
Well, for my qualifying, I made a couple mistakes. That's why my time was so low. I felt like I should have been about mid-pack. I feel like qualifying I'm about 10th, but we know how NASA is. It's if you can manage lap 1 and just take it from there and see what we can get out of it. If I get a podium, cool. If not, see if I can get a top 5. But as long as I finish, that's my main thing.
Yeah, of course, as the great Rick Mears once said, to finish first, you must first finish. We'll go ahead and let you go ahead and go do some warm-up here. Congratulations on making the final.
Thank you. Hopefully we can put this year 1 MRT Subaru on the top step of the podium at least. We can try.
Get MRT a dub.
We're gonna try.
All right, and that was Cody Erdman in the 52. We'll go ahead and drag him back down to the paddock and let him get out there on track. I don't think we're gonna have time to talk to our B main winner, but we do have a moment here to once again go over the schedule here for the next part of the NASA RallyCross season here. We have 3 races remaining after this. It's Iowa Raceway, Daytona International Speedway on the long circuit, or actually the short circuit this time, excuse me, and then finally Crandon International Raceway. Phil, I know you weren't here for the warm-up, or for the practice and the seating, so we weren't able to get your opinion on the schedule, but what do you think we can expect going into the final 3 races of the season here?
Well, I feel like Iowa and Daytona are going to be pretty straightforward like the rest of the season has been. Like, it's hard to say that an Apex car isn't going to win a race at this point, but Crandon, I feel like you got to circle that on your calendar. It's going to be a mental race. I've never driven it, but I've seen videos of it. It's going to be mental in these cars. I don't think anybody's going to know who's going to be quick there until qualifying's over, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know I personally, when I was racing it in a NASCAR stock car of all things, I thought this thing was mental. I thought it was insane. The size of the jumps, of course, it's made for the Pro 2 and the Pro 4 trucks. It's not made for these little teeny rallycross cars with a boatload of power. It's made for trucks. So these jumps are huge. So it may be a war of attrition possibly when we go to Crandon, just like we've kind of seen tonight here at Phoenix. But so I think that's another place where we may be able to see some insane racing and a jumbled up final. Speaking of finals, I'm going to go ahead and toss it back over to Josh Mertz here, and we'll be ready to go for the final here.
Getting ready to go here in Phoenix for round number 7 of the Simracer Coin NASA RallyCross Challenge in 2020B. Pole sitter Alexi Heikkinen, Cody Erdman, Sindre Silva, Ray Kingsbury, Hartley, Attard, Kingsbury, Feldman, Wetz, Ragster, 10 laps, 2 jokers, green flag in Phoenix, off the line. Silva gets a much better start than Heikkinen down into turn 1, nearly made contact with the 2 Volkswagen Beetles. Defending champion Hartley turn is Erdman off of Attard in turn 3 into Wetz. the Volkswagens lead ahead of Hartley, who's in the middle of the road, into Ragster, into Kingsbury, and now Silva Jokers ahead of Heikkinen. We'll see the strategy unravel between Apex and Black Horse, and this is going to be a hell of a race for the race lead, as leading at the end of the first lap, Silva ahead of Kingsbury, who exits the Joker, neck and neck with Heikkinen. Heikkinen beats him for second. Kingsbury, Ragster, Erdman, Wetz, Attard, Hartley, your running order after one lap.
Yeah, that's another hectic turn too. That's just, oh my god, as Ray Kingsbury sends it down the inside of Heikkinen. Heikkinen's going to try to go for the switchback here, but Kingsbury's going to keep that spot. That was a massive send, a mega send there by Ray Kingsbury, but he made it stick and he's taking the Joker again.
Kingsbury through the Joker, the man from Connecticut. I think I can tell by his car's body language that he knows that he's on the pace, as Kingsbury tries to take the fight to Silva, and this is something that we've seen the last 6 weeks. Silva or Robertson ahead of the rest of the field, yet the clean air helps that car. Somehow you cannot catch him. Silva, Kingsbury, Heikkinen. Kingsbury rags to the top 5. I know we're not focused on it, but Wetz and Hartley just came together. It was Attard hard on the inside wall for car number 3. So Attard not having a good time. Silva Jokers again. I think Kingsbury has already finished his strategy in the 25. He has. So this is going to kind of hinder him, as Heikkinen does have one Joker. No, he doesn't have any Joker. Or sorry, 2 Jokers. He hasn't Jokered at all. So we'll see the strategy unravel between the 2 Volkswagens.
Speaking of finished strategy, Sindre Silva just finished his strategy. Race leader just did a second Joker. Heikkinen obviously has no Jokers. He hasn't Jokered yet, and it'll be interesting to see if he can take the fight to Sindre Silva here. The gap's 6.5 seconds right now, and we saw in that last that B main, Savion Ragster 3.5 seconds behind the leader. It's going to be another one of those races, it looks like.
I think our best bet if you're not an Apex Racing Academy fan, is Alexei Heikkinen. People ask me throughout the week, how can you commentate on the same 2 cars winning every single race? Let me tell you, I don't know what I'm looking at until I see it. Even when I would race and do the commentary afterwards, it's weird. You can kind of forget what happens, but I've learned from whether it's RallyCross or F1 or whatever, nothing is set in stone until they cross the line. Heikkinen does not Joker yet in the 8, flying over the jump. He was turned so far sideways, I thought he was going to lose it. Silva trying to build that gap.
This is going to be a race-defining moment for Heikkinen, I think. If he gets stuck behind Kingsbury, I don't see him having a chance at the win here, but if he can make quick work of Kingsbury, even if that means burning one of his Jokers, I think he has to do it.
As we have lost Feldman, Wetz, and Hartley in this final. Erdman and Attard battling at the back of the field, as it looks like all of them. I think Feldman actually didn't take the start in car number 84. Heikkinen Jokers, he releases himself from behind Kingsbury. This is going to be crucial. We'll have to see the delta on this next lap. Sindre Silva crosses the line. Last lap was a 35.626. He runs this time 4.63. Heikkinen ran a 5.45. Gap at the line is 4.4 seconds. This is getting good.
Yeah, Heikkinen didn't close up as much on the Joker as I thought he would. He only closed up 2 and a bit seconds. I feel like that's because the track's rubbering in. That the regular racing line obviously gets used a lot more than the Joker, so when you run that racing line over and over and over again, obviously it's going to get quicker as you move the dirt aside, so I think Heikkinen's going to have to close this gap a bit more if he wants to have a chance.
Silva ahead of Heikkinen. We'll take a look when they're both equal on lap time. 3 laps to go for Sindre Silva. 35.378, 35.752 for Heikkinen. It was 0.4 of a second slower. This is not what he needs to try and take the fight to Silva, and it's something with the Apex cars, super fast compared to the rest, as Heikkinen threw the dirt over the jump.
Yeah, the Apex guys, they've just been doing it week in and week out. It's been a masterclass. It's kind of like what we used to do on the NR days, but these guys, I feel like they're on a different level to even what we were.
As 7 wins, if he can close it out in the next couple of laps. 7 wins in a row for the Apex team, and that's going to be 3 for Silva, 4 for Robertson. And what was interesting, I know we talked off air, Apex Racing Academy has moved into 3rd all-time on the team's wins list, behind MRT with 73, Revolution with 37, and before this race ends, we don't want to say too much, Apex 10 wins in only 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's crazy what they've accomplished in 2 seasons because MRT, Revolution Racing, they've been in it for the long haul, but Apex, a new team, they're already third on the wins list for constructors. That's pretty insane.
Final lap for Sindre Silva here in Phoenix, ahead of Alexei Heikkinen. Heikkinen has not taken his second Joker, so maybe we'll see something, as the gap was 4.5. It's going to be hard for him to attain, but Sindre Silva ahead of Heikkinen. We take a look at Heikkinen in car number 8. He is miles behind Silva here, and I think he might have been hindered by Ray Kingsbury. Final corner, 7 wins in a row for the Apex Racing Academy. Silva again on top of the podium here in NASA Rallycross. Alexei Heikkinen comes home with a second consecutive podium finish, and Savion Ragster, Phil, he finishes on the podium!
Oh my god. Savion Ragster, this whole race, he's been pulling things out of the bag. Oh my god, that feels good for that man.
As I didn't take a look at, we were taking a look at the TV feed, Ragster, Kingsbury, Attard, Erdman, Hartley, Wetz, Feldman. That's our finishing order. Did not even pay attention to Savion Ragster. And the American comes home in 3rd after seeding 10th in the final.
We knew he had the pace in qualifying and in the race. He did what Heikkinen did last week. He saved both his Jokers for the final 2 laps, and we saw how it paid off for Heikkinen last week, and look how it paid off for Ragster today.
We'll try and bring in our podium finishers here. Remember, we do have to have a translator, so Johannes Vanen will have a part in the interview, given the fact of our language barrier here with the Finnish drivers. As what we will do once I get them all moved in here, I'll pass the baton over to Philip Kraus. Our first interview, Savion Ragster. Hopefully the permissions are fixed. If they're not, we'll have to move again. As, let me see. Savion Ragster, you got a copy for us or no?
Can you hear me?
Oh, we got him. Phil, he's all yours.
P3 today. I don't think any of us, yourself included, would have expected that in this race. I know you put on a good lap in quali, but you haven't really had the season you've been looking for. And P3, how excited are you for it?
Oh man, this is incredible. I'm just happy to have made it to the final. I'm just so surprised that I finally made it, and that's incredible. I think there was just a lot of mistakes from other people, but I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I feel like mistakes from other people, that kind of sums up this race as a whole. It was a really messy race for everybody, it seemed like, but you pulled through. You got caught in a few incidents of your own, obviously, but you pulled through. You won your LCQ transfer race, and then you got a podium in the race.
It's just incredible. Thank you guys. This is awesome.
Is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Just all the people who crashed ahead of me. Thank you for crashing. I wouldn't have been able to be here without you.
You heard it from the man himself. It wouldn't have been possible if the people in front of him didn't crash. P3 finisher Savion Ragster. Good job.
As we'll bring in, remember with our language barrier, Johannes Vanen translating for our second place finisher, Alexei Heikkinen.
Howdy, Alexei. You got a copy?
Alexei, kuuleeko sä? Alexei?
Kuuluu.
Seems that he's not hearing this now.
Kuuluuko?
Alexei, kuuletko sen? Haloo.
Howdy. Another podium finish. One better than last week. P2. How are you feeling about it?
Paremmin meni kuin viime viikolla. Kakkospaikalle pääsit. Miltä nyt tuntuu?
Hyvältä. Very nice.
Very nice.
That's always good to hear. Honestly, watching that not the heat race, watching the final and watching the lap times, we in the booth, we thought you had a chance to win the race, but it seemed like the Joker Delta seemed to be less and less as the race went on. Would you attribute that to the regular racing track gripping up, and or was it just you guys messed up on your Joker laps? I'm sorry for all the stuttering.
Mitä sä luulit, kun tuossa tuo rata kehittyi koko ajan tuossa kisan myötä ja sä otit nuo jokerit aika myöhään, et vaikuttiko se siihen, että et päässyt Silvan ohi vai mitä sä luulet, miten tuo jokerin kanssa kävi?
No mä ajattelin, kun siinä takana ekalla keikalla tuli niitä koloarteja paljon, niin mä saan ajan rauhassa siinä, mutta sitten sieltä tuli kuitenkin yksi. Mulla piti taas käyttää viimeisellä no molemmat, mutta piti vähän aikaisesti käyttää.
He was reacting to the race around him that he saw that there was guys crashing behind him in the start, so he thought that there's clear track for him to push forward and the idea was to take the jokers a bit later in the race and that's what he did. So there and the jokers were quite okay, so there was no mistakes there. Silva was just a little bit faster there.
All right, 10-4 on that. We saw you get cut behind Ray Kingsbury for a lap or two there. Did that affect you at all, or do you think you would have finished second even without that?
Miten vaikuttiko se sen Kingsburyn takana siinä vähän aikaa ajoit, että vaikuttiko se siihen, että voitto meni siinä?
No, se aika syöksyllä yritti tulla ohi, niin mun piti se väistää, että en tiedä. Siinä varmaan meni sekunti ainakin aikaa hukkaan. Se aika syöksyllä tuli siihen ykkösmutkaan kyllä päälle.
Yeah, he came into the first corner quite rough and Alexi had to, dodge him a little there, so he lost a second or two there. So maybe it would have been a bit closer with Sindre in the end.
Yeah, it's a real shame, but that was an amazing pass by Ray Kingsbury. Not trying to be biased, but that was a really good pass. But it's a real shame that you couldn't bring the fight to Sindre. We were looking forward to it. We thought you had the delta with the Joker because we saw in the LCQ that Savion Ragster closed in by 3.5 seconds on the final lap. But another P2, another podium. Well, not another P2. P2, another podium. Anybody you'd like to thank for it?
Ketä sä haluaisit kiittää siitä lopputuloksesta?
Volkswagen tietenkin.
Of course, Volkswagen.
Ja mulla tarkoitus on voittaa vasta seuraava kisa. Mä oon nyt tullut pikkuhiljaa eka 4, sitten 3 ja nyt toinen, niin seuraavasta voitto.
His goal is to win the next one. His first result was 4th, then 3rd, now the 2nd, and you know how it goes. So he needs to win the next one.
Just building up to it, Alexi Heikkinen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
And finally, normally people would get tired of this, our race winner, 7th win in a row for the team for Apex Racing, and it's win number 3 for Sindre Silva. He wins here in Phoenix. Phil, he's all yours.
Another win, obviously, to start things out. 7th win in a row for the Apex Academy team. And that's going to give you over a 40-point lead in the drivers. Do you feel like that's safe, or what are you thinking about championship-wise?
I think I can take a vacation now. That was good. That was fun race, and Alexi was so close to us on pace in both practice, quality, everything, and yeah, winning over him was just unpredictable. I didn't think I would win this race, to be honest.
Yeah, we were thinking that Alexi would have had a chance at you there in the closing laps because in the final LCQ, Savion Ragster closed up by 3.5 seconds in the Joker, but it seemed like in the final the Joker wasn't worth as much as it was in the LCQ. Probably somewhat to do with the track ripping up, would you say, or were people making mistakes on their Jokers?
I have actually thought about this and practiced this a lot. When you have so much grip in the normal line, then it's faster to take the Joker earlier so you can get ahead and at the end. So if Alexi then take Jokers at the end, then he will be slower in the Joker compared to the speed difference in both lanes. So we were just taking the Jokers fast so we can get ahead and just concentrate on our own pace.
Yeah, it's always nice to have that clear track. No distractions, really. You can just bang in the laps, lap after lap, and come away with another win.
Yeah, it's just awesome. We would starting this season, we were not thinking 7 in a row would even be possible. We know we had pace to compete in the drivers' championship, but dominating this season was it was not a plan or what we were thinking. But yeah, I'm just happy that I managed to take myself into a victory when Jake made a mistake picking the wrong car and not joining this race. So yeah.
Yeah, at this point, you got to be thinking 10 in a row. You've already got 7, only 3 more to go. Do you think you can do it, or?
It's we need to focus on the World Championship as well. So I don't know. We will try, but we will not be practicing so much for the races. But for sure, if we can come here and do good laps like we are doing now, I think we can try at least.
Yeah, with the way you're going, I don't even think the World Championship can stop y'all as a team. Like, it's just been crazy to see, because obviously Heikkinen, he's a World Championship driver as well, so he's not going to be getting the laps. So it'll be interesting to see if Magnus is able to race the next few races and maybe bring the fight to you if you guys can't have as much practice.
Yeah, for sure. Magnus has been on the pace. He has been following us throughout the season. He has been pushing us hard, so we actually needed to practice a lot on some tracks to gain the speed. We're lucky that Magnus didn't race this time, because Phoenix is a very OP Subaru track, to be honest. And yeah, we're lucky that Magnus didn't drive, or this would be even harder.
Yeah, you would have never guessed that with the Volkswagen podium lockout 1 through 3 for the Volkswagen cars. But thank you for coming and racing with us again. Your 3rd win on the season. Congratulations, and hopefully you can lock up this championship in a next race or 2.
Thank you.
As we finish here in Phoenix, gonna catch our breath, as I believe we've got Matt Kingsbury as Victor Vallee. Gonna have a chat with Mr. Matt Kingsbury. Not sure what's going on. I have just seen there was a chat going on, so have at it.
All right, Matt, this is a 4th place for you tonight. As I try to get everything set up and ready for you here. 4th place tonight. Did you have anything for a podium?
Yeah, we did. I threw it away. I got loose in a turn 1, 2 or 3 times and gave up, I'd say, a second, 2 to 3 seconds each time. I really think I threw it away there. But just the Subaru package here is extremely stable and fast. Compared to the Fiesta last year, it was so rapid.
Yeah, your winner just said that the Subaru was the OP package here at Phoenix. Of course, you had your brother right behind you. Looked like a pretty good battle there for 4th, 5th, and 3rd for that matter. As all of you guys within about 3 or 4 seconds of each other. I know the start was pretty hectic for a lot of people. Was it hectic for you at all?
I didn't get a good start off the line, so I was starting 7th. It's not really the best start. Plus place to start. You're kind of like right in the middle of the field. So I elected just to kind of lag back and let the track clear itself, and that seemed like the way to play it. And we got a clean start. I don't know, 4 guys maybe wrecked in front of us, and Ray had picked the Joker, so we had a clean track right in front of us. And yeah, we just kind of we caught up to Alexi, who was in 3rd, or 2nd or 3rd, I think. And we rode behind him for a lap or 2, and we clicked off like a 36 flat. And I was trying to follow his line, but then I made a mistake and dropped back. There was really no one ever around me. It was kind of spread out. But I know I was fighting the Ragster. I looked at the Delta, and I knew if I made mistakes, he was going to get me. And that's what ended up happening. I made a mistake, and he got me. So hats off to him on that one.
Yeah, well, hats off to you on the 4th place result. I think it's one of the best results of the year. It's kind of been a trying year for your team, but it looks like you guys have kind of gotten a little bit better as the year's gone on. Do you have anybody to thank for this result?
Yeah, because thank the guys at Last Sport Spark VR team doing a good job this week. The whole last few weeks, I feel like we've really made strides in this Subaru program. We felt great about the program, and it showed pace, but we just haven't had the consistency and familiarity that we've had with Ford. So it's just a learning curve. And I think next season, if we run the Subaru again, we'd stand a much better chance.
All right, and that was Matt Kingsbury, your 4th place finisher. Josh, I believe we're about to wrap things up. I'm not sure if we have one more interview or not.
It looks as though we've got Ray Kingsbury joining us in the commentary box. So I wonder if Philip Kraus is here. Do you want to give our 5th place finisher some questions here.
Howdy, Ray. You got a copy, big man?
Hi, Phil.
Hi, how you doing? P5, right in the middle. How you feeling about it?
A little disappointed. I think we had third wrapped up, and we were kind of on the bubble for like keeping that with the Joker Delta. So I was trying a couple new gear combos through some of the corners to get a little bit more speed because the track was changing so much. And went into turn 1 and tried third gear, and it understeered. I clipped that tire wall, and it spun me around. So that was the end of potential third place. But car was good. It's been good all year. I haven't been good. So there's a problem. I definitely liked last season, you know, with the Ford, we were able to sort of always be that guy that was better in the final than we were in the heats. And with the Subaru, it reverses that. So we've been better in qualifying and in the heats. The problem is this competition this year is so steep that we haven't been always making the final. Whereas in the Ford, we were making the final pretty regularly through the LCQ. So, yeah, I think our results this year are better. Yeah, but so the competition is also much better.
Yeah, but obviously you have to take a bit of solace in feeling that your pace has been better this season than last season. At least you'd say so yourself. So that's something to take stride in, move into next season and the final 2 races of this season. Oh, sorry, final 3 races of this season, and build off that. Maybe get a podium, maybe get a win. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. The Subaru platform is just so much more stable, and the Spark cars have been running well on it. I think overall we've put together a good package. It's just we gotta, for next season, work on it a little bit more to get some more overall pace out of the driver. Definitely an advantage over the Ford. I mean, you know, I'm sure people are probably like, oh, we should switch to the VW next season, but it's hard to choose a car based off of a few rounds, and even a full season, it's hard to judge a car because, you know, it really depends what driver's at the wheel and how it performs in certain situations.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. We've heard that from Robertson before. Each car has its own strengths and weaknesses, and obviously it seems like the Subaru is stronger in qualifying but a bit weaker in the race, and for the Ford it seems flip-flopped. But P5 today, maybe a podium, maybe a win in the final 3 races, but if you run as well as the car looks, I think you should win a race.
Yeah, unfortunately the car looks better than the driver can perform sometimes.
Anybody you'd like to thank for the P5 result today, or?
Yeah, we got to give a big shout out to Simracer Coin. You know, it's been a lot of fun being able to run in this series, and also big shout out to Spark VR for being on the car. You know, we really couldn't do it without their exposure, and they do a great job keeping sim racing active here in Connecticut, and hopefully they're able to open up soon with all the coronavirus restrictions in the state. But yeah, big shout out to them, and also ASN TV for the coverage of the events.
Thank you. P5 finisher, Ray Kingsbury. So I believe
gentlemen,
that wraps things up, Josh.
I think we're getting close here to ending our adventure here in Phoenix. Very unpredictable. We didn't know what was going to happen until the very end, even though the result was the same. And typically, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again, but let me tell you, it wasn't. I want to give a shout out to Diane Feldman. Unfortunately, she was unable to connect to the server for the final. So statistically, technically, finishing in 10th. Heartbreaking to see that she was unable to take part in that race. I was interested to see how the Digital Global Racing team would fare for that car number 84. My thoughts, like I said, unpredictable race, even though you have a predictable result. The Apex cars out and away from the rest of the field. Unofficially, as of course they still have to review the events, 42 points is the gap with Silva and
Well, unfortunately, it looks like Josh is having some issues here, so we'll go ahead and...
Just 40
Unfortunately, it looks like both. Our commentators are having a little bit of a technical difficulty. I'm not sure if it's something on Discord's end or not. But this will wrap things up here from Phoenix. I'm Victor Vallee for Josh Mertz and Philip Kraus. Thank you so much for tuning in to this broadcast of the Simracer Coin NASA Rallycross Challenge. We will see you next week in, I believe, Daytona, if I'm not mistaken. And then finally for the last three, actually, excuse me, it is Iowa next weekend, then Daytona. And we will see you then for the final three races of the NASA Rallycross Series, the Simracer Coin NASA Rallycross Series Championship.